Wrapping up this week's pregame show with a visit from Tony Basilio from the Tony Basilio Show out in Knoxville. You can hear him on FanRun Radio. Been doing it for a long, long time. Right now, he's covering his face. If you're watching it, he's got a commemorative Neyland Stadium football with him right now. Tony, what you got there?
Show and tell, brother. This is what it's all about. It's what it's going to look like on Saturday. That is what it's all about. A jam-packed Neyland Stadium, a game that people here are really, really excited about, and Vanderbilt fans are really, really excited about. Last few days, I've had Vanderbilt fans popping into my room over on YouTube, Tony Basilio Show. Thanks for the shameless plug. But it's a game that I'm really excited about personally. I've got a great deal of respect for Vanderbilt's football team this year. Pavi is so tough. They've invested in their offensive and defensive lines. This feels like a game Vanderbilt's been pointing to, and it's going to be a really interesting game. Look, this is a huge game from a Tennessee perspective because if they lose to Vanderbilt, that means they've lost 3 games in Neyland Stadium this year. And Danny Dimes, Danny Dollars, as I like to call him, our athletic director here, who literally would dive over his grandmother to get 50 cents out of her couch if he knew it was there. This is not a good way to raise money if you lose 3 games in your building and one of them being to Vanderbilt. That would not be a good thing for this program.
No, you mentioned the excitement. Obviously, Vanderbilt's excited every year they play Tennessee, but the excitement on the Tennessee side of things, a chance to knock Vanderbilt totally out of playoff contention. When's the last time you, as a Tennessee person in Knoxville and seeing it from Tennessee fans, I mean, it seems like there's excitement on the Tennessee side as well. And when's the last time you saw this much excitement on both sides? And it's the first time both teams have been ranked in this matchup, which is crazy. Yeah. First time Vandy's been ranked ahead of Tennessee, I think, in the game since 1958. So have you seen a game with these types of circumstances in this rivalry? It's almost unheard of.
You know, Billy, here's the thing. All these years, I've been jealous of Texas A&M, Oklahoma State back in the day. To some extent, I guess, South Carolina, Clemson, Georgia Tech. We've never had this. I mean, there have been years when Vanderbilt's gotten the better of Tennessee and to Fulmer, Butch Jones years, what have you. But this is a different kettle of fish. This is 2 teams close to the top of the sport. And if Tennessee would have made a field goal against Georgia, they had Georgia beat. Georgia's like the Houdini of the SEC this year.
Mm-hmm.
But Tennessee had Georgia beat. If the Dogs, if Tennessee makes that field goal, we're talking about 2 teams maybe playing for the right to either get in or get left out this weekend, because Tennessee's schedule hasn't been very good. They don't have a win over a winning team yet this year. I said that on my show earlier today, and people get offended by that. And I didn't do it. That's one of my sayings. And I'm going to try it again. I didn't do it. But we had chances here to win games and just haven't been able to do it. I expect an electric atmosphere for this game on Saturday. Not a sleepy crowd, an electric atmosphere.
I want to get into the Tennessee offense and how, I mean, it's just as good and better than they were last year. Definitely more explosive than they were last year. And tight game against Georgia. Obviously, the Oklahoma game was tight. I feel like it's been Tennessee's defense that has let them down this season. But when you watch Tennessee's offense, how are they more explosive than they were last year? And do you look at this game as a game that fits this Tennessee offense to be able to put up a lot of points?
Sure. But they're explosive and they're combustible. It's gone off on them a couple times. In the Oklahoma game, it went off on them. Aguilar's had this thing this year where he's like a lot of quarterbacks. He likes clean pocket. And when he gets pressure at times, he can throw balls up, which was sort of the book on him at App State.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, he's been very good. You know, he's at the top of the league in passing. He's one of only 5 quarterbacks to throw for 3,000 yards in a season here with a game left. And so Tennessee's got 3 excellent wide receivers, and they'll utilize all of them. I was talking to Watson Brown, used to coach at Vandy, and he believes Tennessee's going to attack Vanderbilt with multiple deep shots. I would say if you ask me, passes 20 yards or more, how many will Tennessee attempt in this game? If I was trying to throw a number up there that would get action going both ways, like a Vegas total, I'd put that thing at about 8.5.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're really going to attack Vanderbilt downfield. I think that's the formula. I think you think that's the formula. From the Vanderbilt perspective, the thing that concerns me about Tennessee is, does Tennessee have the integrity on defense to allow Pavia not to become too much of a factor with his legs? That's a real X factor in this game as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you're right. I think if Tennessee can run the football in this game, Vanderbilt will be in trouble because they've been really good against the run all season long. But is this a game where, it's going to be high scoring, but do you think Tennessee is going to be able to run the football? And would you agree with me that if they can, and they can be balanced on offense, not just the explosive plays, I think Vanderbilt could really be in trouble in this game.
Big trouble. Tennessee's bugaboo, though, at home, and it's been weird, is false start penalties. Georgia game, atmosphere was terrific. Tennessee committed 7 false start penalties in that game, Billy, to Georgia's none. That's a home game. Oklahoma game, mistakes on the offense, got you behind the chains, which led to some of the crazy stuff that we saw in terms of the turnovers. And so, suffice it to say, it would be great if Tennessee runs the ball well, but they really need to play cleanly because that's what's gotten them. That's what got them in the Alabama game there. And again, I'm back to this. I think it would be very shocking for the Tennessee fan to wake up Sunday and realize that they've lost 3 home games this year. That would be I would think that'd be something that was on nobody's Singo card. I don't know if you've played Singo, Billy, but that's something I don't think that anybody would have had on their Singo card.
I haven't played Singo, but maybe I'll look into it. Tone, the Tennessee defense for Tim Banks, obviously they've given up some yardage. Vandy's both pass defenses are pretty bad. I mean,
pretty atrocious.
That's why we think it's going to be a high scoring game.
Yeah.
But Tennessee's defense, have they gotten better? Last week, obviously you played kind of an inept Florida team, New Mexico State. I've heard some rumblings that Boo Carter leaving has helped this defense. Do you believe in that? And do you think, do we see a little bit of a different Tennessee defense than we've seen for most of the season? Or do you think it's, we'll continue to see them struggle against a Vanderbilt offense that's been really good?
Billy, this game's going to be a real test to me because the things they struggle with, oh, boy. I left the 7-10 pins on my cans over there. The thing that they struggle with really is run fits and also losing the edge. And so their integrity on defense has to be pretty good. The thing Vanderbilt's been doing recently that has all of us concerned is hitting deep shots. At times, and you're too young to remember the game, but our secondary looks like that old game electric football at times, especially our safeties. You snap the ball, you got a guy over there vibrating, and he's moving around, and he's going this way, and he's going, and God knows what they're doing out there because they're not in the play. And so at times, our safeties really make me feel unsafe. And that's something I'm monitoring. Look, every fan wants to believe that, hey, we've crossed the Rubicon. Predator fans in Nashville want to believe they're going to play some offense. Everybody wants to believe they're better or gotten better. A game like this for Tennessee that's going to test, are you lined up properly? Are you reading your keys properly? are the linebackers going to make the right decisions in space and in a timely manner? I have no way of knowing. I'll tell you this, the Pavia guy he's really written a check with his mouth. Now, can his body cash it? I don't know. It seems like he relishes spots like this, though, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, wasn't able to cash it at Tuscaloosa, and Alabama fans were letting him have it, before, during, and after the game. Same type of thing at Texas. Vandy's been able to win their home games, but on the road, in an environment like this, we're going to learn. We're going to learn a lot about him. But with that motivation, has Tennessee talked about that this week? The Pavia talk in the offseason, and for him, I mean, the pressure's on Vanderbilt. I mean, we know that he's got a chance to win the Heisman, to punch Vanderbilt's ticket to the playoff. We'll see if that happens. But do you think this Tennessee defense, obviously they'll be motivated, but how much of a factor do you think Pavia talking and that part of this game plays into it for the Tennessee defense and the team?
I just don't know that Josh Heupel's the type of coach that he's a process guy. I mean, look, you've got an in-state rival a couple hours from your home, from where you're playing, that has kids. We have kids on that roster that are from there. Pavia and his family live on social media. I don't know. They remind me of like rejects from Jersey Shore or something. I don't know. Are we doing like a reality TV show? But that's what all this stuff is now. All this content farming that's going on. But you have all these distractions. It seems to me that that's what Pavia and people that do what he do, they want you to fall into that. Now, I do think, do you buckle your chin strap a little tighter? Sure. When you get a chance to put a shot on a guy like that, do you? Sure. And the higher up in competition you go, the more apt that is to occur. I'll never forget when Johnny Manziel went to the NFL and they were hitting him in preseason games and hovering over him and doing the money sign and just taunting a guy in preseason. You never see that.
Mm-hmm.
So do I think there's going to be an extra panache with Tennessee's defense, an extra oomph? Sure. But I'm worried about them being in a position to make a tackle more than anything.
You mentioned that the crowd, you think it's going to be revved up. I could see this being the best atmosphere ever, maybe for Tennessee Vanderbilt, especially in Neyland. It's Thanksgiving week. I mean, and typically, you may see a lesser student section, but this crowd, you got to imagine they're going to be playing a factor in this game. They're going to be, loud on every third down, letting Pavia hear it and everybody. But how much of a factor do you think they can play? And for Vanderbilt, Tennessee's crowd has been taken out of it at times at home this season in the Oklahoma game, obviously. But, how much of a factor do you think the crowd plays and just the energy in that stadium?
Billy, starting fast is going to be really important for Vanderbilt.
Mm-hmm.
Because Tennessee's crowd can get absorbed, like most home crowds can. The Vols played Florida last week. There were a ton of Florida fans there. A lot more than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
2 scores, that was it for them. Now, I don't think 2 scores would take Tennessee's crowd and make them leave the building like a lot of the Florida people did. But if there's a scenario on the board where Vandy comes out and scores twice, that would get really quiet in there very quickly. Luckily, Josh Heupel's been great with his scripts out of the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he could literally be a LA screenwriter with the scripts he writes.
Yeah.
And so that's led to some excellent stuff early in games. If I were a betting man, I would bet the first half over in this game and probably take the over for the game. I saw a number where it was 63 or something like that.
Yep.
The other thing is, when you get these wild, high-scoring games, it kind of keeps the crowd engaged. If both teams are scoring, especially. Never forget that Alabama game in 2022. And obviously that was Alabama. And we couldn't believe our eyes. Nick Saban was over there. And, by the end of the thing, his Kiwi number 7 brown shoe polish was coming off his hair. And he was throwing his visor hat on the ground and throwing his microphone and his headset. But that was a wild scene in that place and an exhausting game. But the high-scoring nature of it only augmented what was an already juiced-up crowd. And who knows, maybe we see something like that this weekend. I do know this. If Tennessee gets the first couple scores, they're going to swallow this Vanderbilt team like you were talking about before. Vanderbilt's got to stay ahead of the sticks, and they've got to stay around on the scoreboard if they want to win this game, I believe. I don't think they come from behind in this game and win.
I'm with you. We know both teams are going to score, but what do you think is the differentiator? Is it the kicking game for Tennessee? Is it Vanderbilt's defense getting turnovers on Aguilar? Is it red zone, third down? What do you think will tell the story of this game if Tennessee's able to win it or if Vandy's able to win it?
Who's cleaner? When Tennessee's lost at home, they have not been clean. They've been their own worst enemy. Again, I'm back to the Georgia game. 7 false starts, including one at the end when you're trying to kick a game-winning field goal. And people say, well, it's 40, you made a 37-yarder or 42-yarder. Well, you missed the kick. And with Oklahoma, Joey Aguilar's done a lot of good things this year, a lot. It's a really nice year. But the turnovers coming in bunches from him in the losses, not been good. The throw at the end of the half in the Alabama game, I believe Tennessee probably wins that Alabama game if it wasn't for that weird sequence at the end of the first half. Alabama against Vanderbilt, Alabama against Oklahoma. Alabama can't run the football. And they're somehow going to make the playoffs. And they literally cannot run the football. So I'm convinced that the team that handles this spot the best is the one that's going to win. I think these teams are really, really close to each other. I think Vanderbilt's got an excellent football team, and I think Tennessee's pretty damn good as well. Offensively, both those teams. Now, defensively, I think they're both kind of a mess. I think Tennessee's back four is kind of especially their safety play, and their linebacking play is a freaking nightmare. And that's a concern. So the offense is going to have to be on point and play cleanly for the Vols. Because if they don't, they're going to be in big trouble.
Tony, I can't wait. I know you can't wait. 2:30 kickoff in Neyland, Knoxville on ESPN. Vandy obviously fighting for a playoff chance. Tennessee trying to keep Vandy out. I know you'll be doing your post-game show there, FanRun Radio, Twitter, YouTube. How can people find you after the game? I know you do some halftime huddles every now and then, but where can people find you?
I'm over at TonyBasilio.com or tclub.team. Billy, this week we've done a post-game after every basketball game. That's 3. The other night, the Vols played Houston. We were on for close to 2 hours, and I did 4 hours that day on the air because we had John Adams in studio, and I just lost track of time. We ended up doing like a 4-hour just hangout powwow thing. So that was 6 hours of broadcasting. And if you look closely at me, for those of you that are getting the visual cues, I've had my head buried in a football because I'm exhausted, and I've got bags under my eyes. It looks like I could go shopping at Big Lots right now. My bags are so big. Or maybe go down to Walmart and get a high ticket item. I feel like I could get a 64-inch television in one of my bags. But Billy, I want you to know that you were on this Vandy team early, man. You were telling people these guys are legit and real. And I was in your old stomping grounds the other day, and I gave it to George and Kelly, and I said, "Hey, you guys need to give Billy Derrick some love for calling the shot." And you know what? You know what? Kelly Holcomb came back with me at. What? You said that Nico was the next coming of, and then he said some quarterback. I said, Kelly, we're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
Trying to deflect.
But it's going to be a great game. It's going to be a great game, Billy. It's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Can't wait. Tony, you're what we call a grinder. Get some rest. Thanks for taking the time, and we'll see what happens on Saturday.
Billy, I love you. Love your show. Respect you, man. Thank you.